They train in the woods every weekend while families hike nearby. What happens when an armed group operates openly and no one agrees on whether it's legal? Across 17 U.S. states, citizen militia groups conduct field exercises, weapons drills, and recruitment drives in public spaces. Some wear uniforms, post schedules online, and claim constitutional protection. Others operate with encrypted apps and coded language. The debate exploded in 2024 when border militias intercepted migrants on federal land, sparking legal battles that reached federal courts. Source: Associated Press, March 2024. Now, an estimated 15,000 active members belong to organized militias nationwide, according to researchers tracking extremism. Source: Southern Poverty Law Center, 2024 census. The question isn't whether they exist, it's whether they're criminals or patriots. The modern militia movement traces back to the 1990s, after Ruby Ridge and Waco created deep distrust of federal authority. Groups multiplied across rural America, citing the Second Amendment and state sovereignty. Lower Third, 1992-1995, formation era. By 2016, the standoff at Malheur Wildlife Refuge put militias on primetime television. Armed occupiers held federal property for 41 days. Source: Oregon Public Broadcasting, January 2016. Some were acquitted. Others served prison time. The legal ambiguity became a blueprint. In 2020, pandemic lockdowns and protests created a recruitment surge. Militia presence appeared at state capitals, protests, and polling sites. Source: Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, November 2020. Some groups provided security. Others faced weapons charges. The line between neighborhood watch and paramilitary force blurred. Then came the southern border operations. Starting in early 2023, militia units deployed to Texas and Arizona, claiming to assist Border Patrol. Video showed armed civilians detaining migrant families and calling federal agents. Footage: Vice News, February 2023. Texas officials initially praised them. The Justice Department opened investigations. Document: DOJ press release, April 2023. In October 2024, a New Mexico militia group clashed with federal rangers during a land dispute. No shots were fired, but 19 members were arrested on conspiracy charges. Source: Albuquerque Journal, October 18, 2024. Their trial is set for spring 2025, and legal experts say the verdict could redefine militia legality nationwide. Most militia groups maintain public websites with mission statements, training calendars, and legal disclaimers. The Oath Keepers, one of the largest until its leader's sedition conviction, claimed 38,000 members at its peak. Document: Federal Court Filing 2022. Splinter groups formed immediately after. Open-source researchers document activities through social media, leaked chats, and local news reports. One database tracked 427 armed gatherings in 2023 alone. Source: Militia Watch Project, Annual Report. Many groups livestream drills. Others scrub their digital presence after law enforcement attention. Federal law prohibits private militias from operating as law enforcement, but statutes vary wildly by state. Document: Cornell Law Review Analysis, 2023. Some states ban unauthorized military units outright. Others have no clear prohibition. Legal scholars call it a patchwork with dangerous gaps. Source: Brennan Center Testimony, Senate Hearing, June 2024. Weapons are legal. Training is legal. The crime occurs when groups deploy force, impersonate officials, or conspire to obstruct government functions. Prosecutors face high bars proving intent. Source: Washington Post, Legal Analysis, August 2024. Militia members describe themselves as community defenders and constitutional guardians. They argue federal overreach justifies organized resistance, and they point to state constitutions mentioning citizen militias. One Texas group's attorney argues they're filling gaps where police are overwhelmed. Source: Houston Chronicle interview, May 2024. Civil rights groups counter that militias intimidate vulnerable populations, especially immigrants and protesters. They cite incidents where armed presence escalated tensions rather than calmed them. Some former members describe internal radicalization and combat fantasies. Source: Defector interviews, BBC investigation, September 2024. Question: At what point does preparation become threat? Gaps remain about coordination between groups. Some operate independently. Others attend joint training. Federal officials won't confirm whether informants are embedded, but court documents occasionally reveal undercover operations. Document: Unsealed FBI affidavit, November 2023. Migrant families detained by border militias reported fear and confusion, unsure if captors were government agents. Some waited hours in desert heat before official border patrol arrived. Source: Human Rights Watch report, July 2023. Children described men with rifles and radios. Community members near militia training sites express unease. One Oregon town held meetings after weekend gunfire increased near schools. Source: Portland Tribune, January 2024. Militia leaders promised better communication. Tensions remain. Law enforcement officers describe a complicated relationship. Some militias offer volunteer search and rescue. Others create dangerous situations requiring de-escalation. One sheriff told reporters he appreciates the help, but worries about liability and control. The NPR County Sheriff Series, March 2024. Legal scholars compare the militia question to a locked box with two keys held by different branches of government. States control some authority. The federal government claims supremacy. Neither wants to test the lock because the answer might empower the wrong side. Historically, citizen militias transitioned into the National Guard after the Militia Act of 1903. Modern groups argue that law doesn't apply to unorganized militias, a category still mentioned in federal code, document 10 U.S. Code, paragraph 246. Think of it like volunteer firefighters versus arsonists with hoses. Same equipment, opposite legitimacy. The stakes extend beyond borders and protests. Experts worry about election security, disaster response, and the normalization of armed political presence. When guns enter civic spaces, dialogue often exits. Source: Political violence researcher, Georgetown University, February 2024. We know militias operate openly across America, training with legal weapons and citing constitutional rights. We don't know where courts will draw the line between protected assembly and illegal paramilitary activity. The New Mexico trial will provide critical answers. Until then, the secret isn't that militias exist, it's that we haven't decided if they're allowed to. More legal battles will define militia boundaries in 2025. The New Mexico case will appeal regardless of verdict, likely reaching circuit courts. States will pass competing laws, some restricting militias, others protecting them. Constitutional challenges will follow. Federal legislation will clarify militia legality. Congress remains divided, and both parties see political risk in decisive action. The line between citizen and soldier, protection and intimidation, remains dangerously blurred. Watch our next video. How the National Guard became America's solution to private armies, to understand how we got here. Sources include federal court documents, news archives, and nonprofit research. This story is ongoing. We'll update as courts rule and policies shift. This script cites reporting from established news outlets, academic institutions, legal databases, and human rights organizations. Some details remain disputed in court. Militia groups and legal experts hold opposing views on legitimacy and constitutionality. This video presents documented information without advocating for or against any position.